So, welcome back. It's been a long time. I have had some very tumultuous days behind me. And that brings us to the topic of this video, which is unworthiness and the process on how to fight it to reclaim your inner glory. You know, I have put it in 8 stages that I think are to be done in the exact order, and try to uphold them in the easiest and most suitable way for yourself. These 8 stages are like steps that you can see as a whole grand process on how to stop feeling inadequate and unworthy in your life. You must have heard of them from some place, maybe on YouTube, from some kind of creator or several creators in segments. You might have read about them from several self-help books and personal growth books, or maybe from some gurus of online courses on personality and mentality, spirituality, in some way or form, even from mainstream media. Now, I thought to myself that what is it that always helps me stop feeling unworthy? And what is it that helps humans in general to stop feeling unworthy? Because it is something that we all have to deal with in our lives. And it pops up every now and then because life comes and goes in a kind of ebb and flow waves. And some waves are bigger, some waves are smaller, some failures are deeper than others, and still being able to weather all of them is quite important. And since I was going through some hard days from the 12th of December, which was the day I got my exam results, and oh my gosh, I failed the exams epically. I had 3 goals. The third goal was the exams for the past 6 to 8 months. 2 of them I successfully passed with flying colors. And the third one, it's like I broke a leg. I failed the exams. I think I'll have to redo those ones. But the thing is, I started feeling inadequate and unworthy in spite of having so many successes in my life. They all just went out the window, and all I had in front of my mind's focus was the recent failure. And I felt like giving up. I felt like I was an imposter for having, bitten off too much, more than I could chew or deal with. And I must admit, it was juggling too many things at once. But I then caught myself feeling inadequate, and I asked myself, is my life really defined by this one failure? Yes, it is a big failure. It is aggravating. It is not something that I had expected or wished for, because I put in a lot of effort and had revised and learned all I could prior to the exams. So I know I gave it my best, and it looks like my best wasn't enough. My professor told me I should take more time to concentrate on just the exams instead of juggling many things at once and having many goals at once. And that should be able to make me pass the second wave of the exams, because I have 3 waves I can use to pass the exams. And the ones I've already passed, I don't need to redo them. So which means instead of 4 exams, I have to do 3 exams, with the other 2 just missing 5% to pass. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. Now, I know that some of you out there, or even you yourself, you mightn't be in the situation I am in of having failed the exams, but maybe something else in life where you feel like a failure or a total scumbag. And this video is also for that purpose. That would be the introduction to the topic. And the main point is how to feel worthy again, in spite of what society says about you, your status, what you feel about yourself, what loved ones might think about you, because maybe they don't understand you or they can't put themselves in your shoes, and all of that. I'm going to put it all together. Yeah, that brings us to the first point of the whole process, made up of 8 stages. First stage would be knowing about the following keywords, which is integrity, authenticity, flexibility with an open mind, and a willingness to keep on adapting by continuously learning. And the last one will be consistency with a strategy and structure. To give you the exact meaning of this first stage with these keywords, I'm going to break it down into simple steps. First of all, you need to have a target, goals, which are put in several steps. And if you start applying step by step what you feel is necessary for your goal, instead of seeing the whole goal as the big picture, you can see it that way and then break it down into small steps and then work yourself from the back of the small steps till to the last step. And that will give you momentum to kind of progress without being overwhelmed. You will need discipline, a strong mentality, and a balanced emotional state. Those three are like in tandem together and they work together. So when you have discipline, you tend to gain a stronger mentality. When you have a stronger mentality, you tend to gain better control over your emotions. Yes, you will have slip-ups at times. We are all humans. We can't be robots that hardly make any mistakes. But through those things, you learn to course correct and see the triggers and optimize to not fall for the same thing again in the future. You will need humility, humbleness, and a certain level of curiosity. That ties back to continuously learning to adapt. And humbleness and humility is about just dealing with other humans in socializing situations and interactions and not being a dick or a pain in the ass. Someone who others like to be around, and someone who also gives others space instead of taking up all the space and kind of acting narcissistic. Curiosity is also something that has to be acted on with a certain level of discernment. Discernment is a skill to see things for what they are and then gauging them in a way that is useful to you and not harmful to yourself or to your surroundings. In my understanding and opinion, I know there are way better definitions for the word discernment, but practically used in my own life experience, I would say it is kind of like a detector of things that are useful, honorable, and create a sense of confidence and integrity within yourself. So be curious, but have discernment to not fall for traps laid out by some goons and crazy people out there, or fall for scams, and you will be able to find a path that works for you to do the things you like and progress. Then there is being real, keeping it real. We talked about integrity a moment ago. Integrity is like keeping true to yourself and your words, sticking to your guns, and doing exactly what you said you would do at the time you wanted to do it and you had promised others to do it, if you ever did make a promise. As in just sticking to doing the things that have to be done because they are necessary is also part of integrity. And what is also very necessary in human lives is knowing who you are, being yourself authentic, and that is where your true power lies. You can put on a facade as a human for quite a long time and be someone else, act like someone else. There are certain situations that require acting or being someone not really true to yourself, but it shouldn't be something that should be done on a daily basis, because that will just make you feel like you are rotting away. You will lose your soul and you won't be living life fully and vividly as you could, which is a loss to humanity. And that is why it's good to try your best and start working on how to feel worthy. Staying true to yourself also helps others be inspired by the being that you are and the way that you carry yourself and you express yourself. That expression in your authenticity and the authentic version is pure to you and has the experience of your life integrated within it. And that makes people drawn to you. You have a certain kind of magnetism around you. You carry yourself differently. You no longer need to hide who you are. And that confidence is very contagious. Then you start getting people around you who match to you. Those who don't like you and can't stand you will literally float out of your life in some kind of way or form that is magically constructed by some powers that we cannot see, but it does happen. So be ready when you're feeling very authentic and starting to get more authentic. People who know you as the old version of yourself will try to pull you back to your old version of yourself. And if you're consistent and they see they can't do anything about it, but they still can't stand being around you, they will drift away. So be ready to lose some people out of your lives. And if they go, just let it be. People come and go. Take the experience and memories with you and make something out of that. That will be the first stage. To get to the second stage, I'll have to tell a little story so that you understand what I'm talking about. In general, it is about how children innately understand their own self-worth and inner sovereignty as human beings, and they carry it out without overthinking or being apologetic about it, which also ties back to being authentic. You see, when we're children, we are taught to be very aligned with society, and if we are not, we are called little rebels, which mostly starts during the teenage years. But for some people, it starts way earlier. I'm one of those people where it started way earlier because I thought to myself, why do things have to be the way they are? Who made up the words that we use? And all those questions came in my mind. But the grown-ups always told me that's how it's always been. That's how it is. So deal with it and carry it out exactly that way, or else you will be in for some punishment. I did get the punishment. At times, I also had to cry because I felt really treated in an unfair manner and way. But that didn't stop me from questioning. And only the grown-ups who gave me answers that I could relate to in a practical way in my own experience in life as a child were the ones that I started to turn to and look up to as my guides, guardians, and idols. Some of them were not even a part of my family, so that shows that we don't really have to give everyone the respect that they demand, the obedience they want from us, if we feel like it is not in alignment with our own true being and our own true self. Because I'm not advocating for harming other people just to be your true self if it is kind of disadvantageous and damaging to your surroundings, then please, by all means, find a safe place to carry that out without harming anyone, and most especially maybe also not yourself. Maybe just leave it in your head and write it down and burn that book, because that is also another way of expressing and dealing with negative sides. But I'm going to get to that point later on. The thing is, as I was a child, I was starting to be interested in girls and having romantic feelings towards girls, which was very intense at the age of 12 to 13. I had had romantic feelings for girls before that, but this time it felt even more different and more like an urge. I wanted to be around those people, wanted to spend time with them. I always daydreamed about them, even more intensively than I used to before with my first crushes. So my mother and sister caught on, and they thought that it would be a great idea to threaten me with showing my friends, most especially girl friends to be, some embarrassing pictures of my childhood to keep me in check and not do any kind of weird stuff. Well, the thing that my sister and mother didn't expect, since I am the youngest out of the family of 5, was for me to be very agitated and triggered by that threat. And they also made the next mistake of forgetting that I knew about all the albums that my mother had. Back then, we didn't have Instagram or TikTok or any kind of social media platform. Maybe MySpace was starting to emerge, but it wasn't being used so much. And I got all the photos out of my mother's albums where I was in them, cut them up into little pieces, burnt them all, some of them, not all of them. And I put them all in the garbage and took the dustbin out, and they were gone. The thing with photos back then, they were developed out of negatives, a negative film. And if you didn't have the negative film anymore and you just had the photos and you only had a certain set of copies of the photos, like 1 or 2 of them, then you were cooked. Off was the evidence and it was gone. You couldn't duplicate it like with digital stuff where you can even recover the files. There was no recovering once the physical analog negatives were gone and the photos were also gone. That was it. When my mother and sister threatened me again, they were like, "Oh, you want your friends to come over? Well, how about we show them some pictures?" I was very calm. They then looked at me and they were like, "He was triggered like 3 weeks ago. So how can he change so much?" It was my mother who had an inkling and then went to check the albums and all the photos were gone. They had made one mistake of telling me about threat and then leaving the objects of the threat in an area I could get to. Not locked up in some box or case, they were just there open in the glass cupboard. So the effect that had on my sister and mother was, first of all, this kid is crazy. Second of all, we do not want to threaten him again with something that he can control because he will definitely do something about it. And that was the last time I ever got a threat from my mother and sister in regards to embarrassing me, just to have a laugh and have me dance on the palm of their hands. What that taught me was the lesson of, first of all, not being too crazy and drastic, because some photos were actually good. I should have kept them, but I was in a rage. So not being so impulsive, and also to controllably state my boundaries, because I could have told my mother and sister, "Hey, that's not very nice of you. I don't like it. Please don't threaten me that way. I am not fond of that. And if you do that, I will do XYZ, or I will stop doing XYZ. I will not help in house chores, or I won't go shopping with you," or something like that, because I was the one who always carried the heavy stuff. I wanted to be a man, so I obviously wanted to help out. And I would have stopped all of that, but I didn't have that mentality and mindset. That will be the second stage, as in children know such things. As a child, I knew innately that it was wrong for them to threaten me that way, and I did something about it. As grown-ups, we have to use discernment on how to act and have integrity on the things we do and say we will do. That will give others the opportunity to learn from us and also give us respect, that which we deserve. And in a way, it will be like a give and take effect. If you feel threatened, make sure you ask yourself, why am I feeling threatened? What is the trigger of feeling this threatened? What can I do about it? What are the things that I can control? And what are the things I cannot control? Those that you can control, let them be. Those that you can control, look at them and try to do something about it. And don't be as drastic as I was. So that brings us to the third stage, which is the present moment today. We have seen how it all begins, what triggers everything, how to start changing, what children have that we as grown-ups lose at a certain stage and point in time, gradually over time. Some regain it, but it just gets lost, that inner feeling of sovereignty and your own self-worth and a kind of authority over yourself, how to reclaim that. Now we are coming to the present time of, as a grown-up or as the person that you are today, what you can do and how you can be to presently feel worthy and continue with that. And I would say my current self as a grown-up, I am less emotional, not so impulsive, more stoic, because I always look at what can I control, what can't I control, and then I focus on what I can control. It's easier for me because I no longer waste energy and time brooding over what I cannot control, because there will be no results no matter how much effort I put into that. And that's the difference. And that gives me more mental stability. From that mental stability, I also follow the same principle as I did as a child from that moment on, and other moments before, where I felt like someone was doing something which was wrong, and it was also like attacking me on some level, and I just wanted to get rid of it or deal with that feeling of feeling caged and suppressed. So I have zero tolerance for things that hold me back or things that could potentially hold me back, even myself. The zero tolerance that I have is not so radical as I used to have it as a child or a teenager. It is more nuanced and has more colors and is more vivid, which means I have more options on how to deal with such situations if they pop up again. And yeah, first of all, we as humans always make mistakes. Mistakes are a part of making progress and learning from those mistakes on the journey of progress, while we course correct ourselves due to the experience we have gained from the mistakes we have made, which then validate the learning ability and application of the knowledge from the said experience of the made mistake. We tend to see that the destination is not exactly what was very important, but the journey to the destination is what was very important. Weaknesses and mistakes are a part of growing up and evolving. If you try not to make mistakes and try not to have weaknesses, it is the same as trying to tell a toddler to walk or run without ever falling down and course correcting to be able to learn how to balance themselves and then master that very fundamental basic skill of movement as a human being. So learning by doing, in the process of applying what you want to do to reach your goals, brings you into a state of reaching mastery and excellence by carrying out the said thing. So without really executing anything or working towards something, you will not be able to make mistakes and fall down or have failures, which will then not give you the opportunity to learn from those mistakes and failures and have a certain amount of new knowledge flow into yourself to then apply it to create new ways and solutions to problems you have, which then give you more professionalism, knowledge, and a kind of expertise in a certain field, and over time to become a teacher of that said field and even being seen as a master, depending on how consistent you stay. So allow yourself to make mistakes, allow to have failures, be curious, and try out several things in life, because that is how you find out what your preferences are, what you like, what you don't like, what your hobbies might be, or where your talents lie, by seeing things that come natural to you, which are quite harder for other people, and maybe polishing and working on them to then have something that could turn into a strength and be utilized for the greater good of your own life in a passive way, maybe even for the greater good of others. Having this kind of mentality works in all fields, all ways, on all levels. You just need to start doing the thing. like how I am recording myself on this camera right now, it wasn't easy for me to start talking in front of a gadget or a technical device. But having done it several times now, my body is having a kind of memory muscle on all levels, as in my posture, the way I look at the camera and focus on it instinctively, how I speak, the words that I choose to say, even though I have a script right here on the tablet. Let me show you. See that here? That is it. Even though I have a script, I'm still speaking freely to just bring up my experience and put it into words that are useful. So what I'm trying to say is, the more you practice something, the less stress you will have, because you would have made several kinds of mistakes and failures. You would have learned from them in an ideal way, of course. That is the goal, to learn from mistakes and failures. And you would become way more efficient and smarter at doing the same thing that you're practicing in small steps and increments that will give you momentum to reach your goals at a pace and speed that you yourself wouldn't have thought was possible. But the key words are consistency and integrity, sticking to your guns. Becoming obsessed by that kind of process is what leads to mastery, is what I've seen from my research. Your goal doesn't have to be something like, I want to be a genius or a master at this and that. It just needs to be fun and needs to have an incentive for you that is something that will make you feel good and proud about yourself, give you more confidence as you do it, because you will see your progress and you will feel it, even though it is slow. So be ready to allow yourself to have slow progress. It doesn't have to be from today to tomorrow that you're a noob to a grandmaster. That's not how life works, but just give yourself time. And you will see the things will happen and unfold as you continue progressing. And that brings us to the fourth point, the fourth stage, which is lessons learned. The focus is on the lessons. Once upon a time, this is another story, I was studying communication design, as in how to convey messages and use media with the practical and theoretical methods from design theory to then create something that conveys the message you want to convey. Like maybe buy this or do that, or this is good for you, that is good for you. And that will make people feel the desire to do something, acquire, buy something, or act in a certain way. And it all ties down to enticing people to having a certain kind of behavior towards something in regards to some topic, and then acting upon that, which then creates a kind of like wealth for your boss, yourself, your company. The best way to do that is when you are actually creating real value for humans and your surroundings. And that also helps you feel good about yourself, which gives you like a feeling of a little win that keeps on building up, brings you more confidence, and that shows this aura of, I am an expert, I am well versed in this kind of field. Now, before I was the person I am right now, speaking in front of this camera the way I do, and had the experience I had, I wasn't always like this. I was very passionate about design, media, and arts and craftsmanship. And I used to see it in a different way than I do see it today. I still love it, but I also have a lot of respect for the people who can carry it out day and night. I am partly one of those kinds of people, but in the 5th semester, I had a great failure. I had applied for a course of animation design and creativity with a focus on illustration. We were supposed to make a video or have a project that would create a story about a character or something that was important to us and would help us express ourselves creatively. I failed at that. It was so bad that after having my presentation in front of like 60 people and the professor saying, I really don't know what you're doing in this university, as in if that is the path you are taking, you could as well just quit. I went home crying. I didn't tell anyone about it. I spent some days like in despair, utter darkness, and I reapplied for the second semester of a course, which was the 6th semester. It was also the same semester where I had a works experience, which was mandatory for being able to hand in your bachelor thesis and the project. And you had to have a company that would validate your creative skills being useful to the commercial and corporate world. I had a friend who was in a company that was actually dealing with animation and videography. They were doing lots of ads and mock-ups and having those kinds of projects for very influential customers within Europe. So that is where I landed. Got in touch with film, animation, visual, motion effects and graphics, and how to really use all those things in videos to make videos look better, and also some sound design. By the end of the 6th semester, I had created a project summarizing my whole experience at the company, using all the skills I had learned from Video Copilot, Andrew Kramer, the website of the guy who actually has taught many Hollywood companies how to really do great motion graphics. I had done most of his tutorials and was no longer a beginner. And my professor was very proud of me, and I got a very good, what do they call it, note or grading. It was A- in comparison to the E- I had gotten the previous semester. And everyone who had seen my presentation in the previous semester was just like, oh my gosh, this guy has grown by leaps and bounds, and he obviously has some technical understanding and an affinity for all that technical software stuff. And my professor said, it is good that you had a thick head and didn't listen to everyone who was telling you to no longer take part in the second semester of this course. I am very happy that you didn't listen to me and my advice to quit. And I take back what I said, and I'm looking forward to the future projects that you will create. It was only then that I was able to let go of the traumatic experience from the 5th semester. And yeah, that was devastating. So it took me like 6 months to deal with that. Let's fast forward to today. Like last week, I got my exam results and I knew that I hadn't passed the exams. I had to redo 3 of them to get the certificate, which I'll be doing in a period of within the next 2 years. I have to do it, or else my past exam right now, the 4th one, will not be counting. Anyway, as I was in despair and darkness for having failed my exams, which I had betted a lot on to change my life, it took me 4 days to recover in comparison to the 6.5 nearly 7 months that I needed from the 5th to the 6th semester, as I was about 23 to 24 years old. Currently I'm 33, so that shows how much the experience, the personal growth, and the way I see myself internally, or the way you see yourself internally, can shift and speed up the process of the rebound and regaining your stability and confidence. I still feel inadequate, to be very honest, and I feel like an imposter. It's still somewhere within me, but it's not very present and to the front of my being, up here in my conscious self, because I know that that doesn't define me as a human. One failure will not define me as a human, and the successes I have had clearly outweigh all the failures I will be having in the near future. Not that I'm looking forward to any more failures, but they are necessary for growth and evolving, as I said before. So I'll try to minimize them, but I'll still stay curious and keep on experimenting with things and challenging myself to then make progress. The lesson from that is, even though you don't have anyone who believes in you and you have certain dreams that you want to pursue, even though you feel like society is against you and the world is like coming down with some divine punishment upon you, if you feel like that thing is really useful to you and it will help you become a better person and progress in your life, and it is really what you want to do, then find smart ways to be able to carry it out and still have a stable foundation in life and standing. If it means like you want to have a side hustle, then do that side hustle after having enough rest and after doing your normal, let me say, 9-to-5 job that pays the bills and all that stuff. And don't just quit just to focus on that one thing, because always have a safety net and a plan B for a plan C, so that you don't have to feel so miserable about not having, pulled off what you wanted to pull off, and maybe not having people who support you. And over time, when you just keep on moving on and you're consistent, people will gradually come to you who can vibe with you, and you will have your tribe, and that will give you like the necessary support. Let me tell you this, your tribe will not necessarily be your family and friends. It is great if they are that, but not most of the times. It will be maybe strange people who turn into friends, who turn into maybe even guides and kind of like peers you can learn from, who have certain skills that help you deal with your own weaknesses and give you new skills through that. Humans learn from other humans. Getting to the 5th stage after the lesson part would be something that deals with how acting on your dreams can change the being that you are and bring the inner vision of yourself into the outer world, where the rest of the world will just have to follow suit and give you what you deserve. How do I know this? Back to my design studies, I was in the 7th semester after proving myself worthy to my very kind of strict but loving professor, who was more like my creative mother, if I would say that. And I wanted to see how far I could go with my newly found skills of making videos and sound design. So I decided that my bachelor topic would be about dreams and creativity, how dreams that we have, some prophetic, some like visions, some like profound messages from other dimensions, can influence our reality if we learn to see and understand the message within and act upon it as if our life depended on it. Okay, maybe not so drastic, but you know, like being consistent and really pursuing those dreams. So I asked myself, how could I show the effect of dreams on reality in a video? And the best way to do that was for me to use normal day gadgets and things that I knew out of real life to portray the abstractness and fluidity of the dream state, and then to show the results of someone who has experienced that state in a very vivid way and acted upon the message they thought they got from that state to bringing it into their reality and showing exactly what it turned them into and how it helped them in their reality to move on and progress in life. Since it was about something I experience a lot by myself, I decided to create a video showing me how I dream, what it looks like when I am dreaming, the things I see in my dream. And in this specific dream of the project, it was about a movie of a great martial arts idol who is called Jet Li. Like, I love people like Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Chuck Norris, Alex Cardo, Michael Jai White, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sammo Hung, Tony Jaa, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, and many other actors, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. People who really fight in the movies and fight in life to succeed and really put in the work. They are the people who inspire me. And in this specific case, it was Jet Li inspired me through the movie of how he played a little brother to an older brother who then became a villain. And Jet Li was like the younger, stupid, aloof brother who had a lot of potential and dormant talent. And the process of him awakening his inner talents was what the movie was about, and how he overcame the hardness and harshness of his older brother, who was a very brutal guy, by using very fluid moves and flowing with nature and understanding the flow of all things in nature and becoming a grandmaster of Tai Chi. And I put scenes of that movie together with scenes of myself practicing martial arts in real life within the dream to then give me the message of use your creativity, pursue your dreams with tenacity and diligence, flow with the times and the challenges in front of you to then be able to overcome even the toughest hurdles. And the result would be someone who is extremely creative and is abundant in thoughts, abstractness, ideas, and visions of things to be created and shared with others. And that is what the video looked like. So I'm going to show it right now and have fun.
Zurück zu Hause versuchte ich es noch ein letztes Mal, kreative Ideen aus meinem Kopf zu zwingen. Aber das raubte mir meine letzte Kraft. Ich gab mich geschlagen, legte mich hin und schlief ein. Und dann, während ich schlief, geschah etwas. Etwas Seltsames und Unerwartetes. Meine Träume. Als ich wieder erwachte, hatte ich 1000 Bilder im Kopf. Meine Hände kannten keine Ruhe und meine Kreativität keine Grenzen. Und als ich wieder aufschaute, war die Welt nicht mehr dieselbe für mich. Also, wovon träumst du?
Well, I hope that was a good little offside, let me say, diversion. But you can literally see my level of using visual motion graphics, because I use After Effects, Adobe Premiere Pro, Reaper, the digital audio workstation, and Adobe Audition, and had some help from several other students with some guidance from online tutorials via YouTube and Andrew Kramer from Video Copilot. I put all that knowledge in one space and was able to create something like that I was really, really proud of. And let me tell you one thing: if you fight for something so hard and you're consistent by pursuing that said thing, once you get the little wins, they will start adding up, and then you'll reach a point where you look back and you're standing literally on top of a mountain you didn't think you would have been able to climb, as you were still down at the foot of that same mountain. And what you expected of yourself was just being able to jump over a little hill, but then look at you, you're up on some kind of Everest in your own life. And that gives you a lot of confidence, and the confidence exudes out of you. You carry yourself differently. You are more helpful and kind to others. You don't need to always boast or show off to others, because it is inside of you and it is a part of you. You just live, breathe, and be it, and people see it and they acknowledge it, and the whole world starts to bend itself towards accommodating that said inner feeling of yourself and creating a matching outer experience. That is what I have seen. That brings us to the 6th point, which would be the application part. Applying what you have learned till now and putting it into use consistently. Look at yourself and your life. What do you want out of life? What is it that you can't stand in your life? Write it down, and then see what it is that you envision for yourself within a week's time, within a month's time, within the time of a year, and maybe several years. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to be at? What does it look like? Who are the people around you? Because the people around you, I read something about the 5 people around you that you spend most of your time with in your life kind of define the kind of person you are and you become. So if you have professionals around you in several fields, some of their professionalism and mentality and way of doing things will rub off on you. And the same thing applies to you being one of those people for someone else. So find something that is dear to you, that you feel like you really want to do, carry out, pursue, or even share with the world, that would help you advance yourself in your life, or even other people, bring value to them. Something that makes you respect yourself. If a version of yourself in the future would look back at you and would be like, that kind of thing, as in fucking well done, you my friend, I applaud you. Something that will make your ancestors, if you were to see them in reality, that will make them feel very proud of you. And I'm not talking about a wolf looking at a so-called gone wrong experiment, which they call a mops in dog terms. I'm looking at a wolf looking at an alpha husky or something like that. Okay, all animals are great beings and we can learn a lot from them, but you get the point. The thing is, that one thing that you want to pursue, if you keep on applying the steps of pursuing it, learning from your mistakes, your failures, you will start to become an example for others. Through that application, you will gain more confidence in the things that you're doing. You will have ways to use your knowledge, even with the help of some kind of memory muscle, like some kind of expert racer or driver or sportsman or athlete, that you no longer have to think so much about the things that are coming your way, the new things. You will just use knowledge from past experiences, utilize it in a way that transfers that knowledge and experience onto the new challenge and finds a solution for that challenge, or maybe an idea to a said solution. And with the help of other humans, because we all work together in some kind of form, community is also another strength you can have when applying lessons you have learned to pursue dreams you have, to create value for yourself and others in life. So that could be a job that you want to have. Maybe you want to learn a new language. You want to learn a new skill. You want to teach yourself something in the arts that is very useful to you or helps you express more. Maybe write poems or writing in general. You want to be better at mathematics. You want to be a very good scientist, or maybe even physicist. Or you want to just support other humans in times of need and be a doctor or a nurse. All those things. When applying them, learn from mistakes. Once you learn from mistakes, you will be able to progress better. And if you can't see your own mistake, ask others to help you out. That's what other humans are there for. Literally, if you ask other humans and they feel like it is genuine, clearly there might be some assholes. But most humans, more than 80% from what I have experienced, are loving, caring, and very nurturing, and they will help. And if they feel needed, they will even help more. That brings us to the 7th point. The 7th point would be when your juices are running low. That point will come, definitely, if you've been applying everything of these 8 stages till to now the 7th stage. You'll reach a point where you have a kind of little feeling of burning out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you can't keep going on. You need a change of space, places, change of mind, things that you're doing. You need to recharge, because I see humans as systems. And as systems, we all have motherboards and main processing chips, our brain, heart, nervous system. And that can fry up, can burn out. It can be overwhelmed by having too many tasks, overclocking, literally. And that brings down the performance in general. And gradually, it will break the whole system if not tended to. So recharging means taking care of yourself, having enough rest, being out in nature, touching grass, working with plants, gardening, taking a walk, doing some exercises, lifting, bodybuilding, going out for a jog, running, riding your bicycle, breathing in fresh air, breathing consciously, having time for entertainment, playing games, spending quality time with your loved ones, family and friends. Literally things that bring you back into this state of, wow, life is a wonderful thing. And if you don't have people around you, just taking some time away, detaching from devices like your phone, camera, tablets, doing away with the internet for like maybe a day or two. Or if you're very, very drastic, you can literally just say, every time you're not working, you're putting your phone in flight mode. If you don't have people who really have to reach out to you because of some things, you need to detach in a way to clear up your cache files from your system. All the impressions you have. You need to calm down. You need to maybe meditate, sit still, breathe deeply, recalibrate your system. And that will recharge you and give you new energy, new mana, new juices to carry out the skills that you have, to do the things that you need to do, and keep on being a person full of integrity and someone others respect and look up to, by being able to regulate your active with your inactive times, your professional side to life, and your free leisure time, quality side of life. And the best way to do that will be having a balance of your mental state, physical, emotional, and spiritual state. Yeah, those are like ideas I use in my own life to recharge myself and be able to do the things that are necessary. So yeah, I hope that helps. That brings us to the last stage. The last stage is completion. To have the ability to complete or bring something to an end, to finish what you have started, which is also part of being someone who lives life with integrity, you don't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to execute at 600%. That is what I feel like society is doing nowadays, telling people to hustle, execute at 300, 400%, always getting better, more efficient and more effective. Yes, you can progress. Yes, there is a gradual way to progress and get better all the time. But in certain fields, there are times when you have squeezed the juices to the 100% extent you can squeeze the juices out of that certain thing, and more is not really possible. And knowing when to stop, I apply the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work is done with 20% of the efforts, which is already a passing thing. And the last 20% of the work you will need something about 65 to 80% of the efforts to fine-tune, calibrate, really polish up everything to have it to reach that 100%. But most of the times you don't really need to get to that 100%. 80 to 85 to maybe 90% is really, really already good, because you're already getting above average. And that is why I would advise you not to be such a perfectionist. Trust me, I know what it is like to overthink about things, be a perfectionist, wanting to carry out things the best way you can. It's not always possible, and I wouldn't advise you to always try to be a perfectionist, because that can also become a hindrance to your progress. So do things in a way that is sensible, respectful of the time you invest in those things. Have a balance between how much time you put into things, and discern for yourself how useful that is, how effective that will be to continue doing that same thing, or isn't there a smarter other way to do the same thing with less efforts and more productivity. Try to find ways to do things differently that is more effective and saves time for you and even others, and that is where the magnitude of the value will start rising, and that is where also the rewards will be exponential. What I can say is always give it your best. If you know that you have given it your best, even as you fail, you will be able to recover way faster because you knew you gave it your all. But if you don't do anything about it and then you fail, my goodness, that is devastating. That will make you feel like crap. You will feel like literally you are the scum of the world and you're not worthy of anything. And that is not something you should be having. So always prepare properly to prevent a poor performance, and you will be on your jolly way to achieving lots of things that you set for yourself in life. Just like with me, I had 3 goals within 8 months. 2 of them passed, successfully obtained, and the third one, not so good. But I'll have to work on redoing the exams, which is going to be a pain in the ass. I'm also working on finding a job right now more intensely with the new knowledge I have had from training from the past months. And I'll apply that into the new job, start learning again for the next wave of the exams, or the second next wave, because I have 2 years of time to do that all. I will see how far I get. But the thing is, I will keep on giving it my all and my best. And I know that most humans, all of us, are actually triggered to creating things, creating value for others, being there for others, showing off our talents and skills, and sharing the goodness of our authenticity as we express ourselves with other humans, which then gives other humans an inspiration to be more of themselves, that then gives humanity as a whole, the whole experience on this planet, a greater vividity, brilliance, and makes it more fun for everyone. My vision is to just have many people I can learn from and I can look up to, and also be one of those people. Yeah, we will all feel more worthy through that. And I am already feeling better by talking about this. Yeah, I'm going to go out and do my best to see what I can do out there in the world, look up to each day while holding my head high and not feeling like my failures define me, because failures do not define you as a human. They can only shape you and make you even stronger and better than you were before, just like with muscles. But the thing is, when muscles tear up due to having tried something challenging that they have never had before, if you don't try to continue training them again after healing and giving yourself time to heal, to recover from the muscle pulls, those muscles will deteriorate and the tearing would have been for nothing. So I'm not letting my mental muscles tear for nothing. I'm going to use them and make them stronger. That is at least my goal. Little steps at a time, and I think in some time to come I would have gotten to a place where I can look back and be like, that was good. It was good that I didn't give up. And I hope the same happens to you. So have fun, and yeah, see ya.